Foreign Filmcast, Episode 8.
Can you tell me what is so interesting?
It won't interest you, but there's something written about you in the paper. 70,000 women are addicted to alcohol. You're one of them.
That doesn't concern me. If someone is addicted to alcohol, then it's you. Just look at you in the mirror. You look at yourself in the mirror sometimes?
I have a reason to do it. I'm married to you.
Put the damn newspaper away already.
I'm doing this for 15 years now. Can you do me a favor and just leave me alone?
I'll gladly leave you alone. I suggest you leave me alone too. I have a great suggestion. Why don't you move to your mother's and take all your cookbooks with you?
It's a wonderful suggestion. You bug me with that about twice a month. Was that really necessary? Was it really necessary?
Go back to your mother.
Go back to your mother. I can't take it anymore. Always the same. Always the same. I can't.
This is so boring.
Yes, you're boring.
Yes, you too.
I cannot expose this apartment to that chaos.
The chaos is your thing. I can't keep it. The cats.
Appropriate. The cats.
Yes.
Again, forget it.
Who didn't buy the Shiba? You haven't bought it. I'm going to the lounge car now. Take the money with you.
And just stay for a moment.
I don't want you coming with me.
Wait a moment.
How do I open this fucking door?
That, believe it or not, was scene 1, Before Sunrise. Before Sunrise is the 1995 film by Richard Linklater, starring Ethan Hawke as Jesse, Julie Delpy as Celine. We start with some trivia. It starts with Henry Purcell music, scenery of a train ride coming to Vienna from Budapest. The Henry Purcells is
So lovely.
Dido and it's the overture from that. So it starts with this fight in German. There are no subtitles. So we came across this website called sunrisesunset.wikia.com. So who knows whether that translation is accurate or not, but we thought it'd be fun to give it a read.
And lost in translation just a little bit.
So this movie is very near and dear to my heart. I can't remember exactly how I discovered it, whether it was on TV or at Blockbuster Video. The movie takes place in 1994. In 94-95, I was in Europe. I spent most of my time in Spain, 4 months just outside Paris. Toward the summer of 95, I met up with my buddy Charlie, who had spent the year in Poland. I met with Charlie and his girlfriend of the time, Trixie. We met up in Budapest. Then we went to Prague by train, and then from Prague, Charlie went back to Poland, and I went to Vienna with Trixie. And we got there in the evening, didn't have any reservations. I think we found somebody's place, somebody's home was available for some money to spend the night. And then we just walked around the town for a few hours, I think. So, and I did a lot of European train travel in those days. It was definitely a fantasy to meet a cute French girl. Never really happened.
Aww.
So I'm already biased. I already like the movie based on the premise.
Aww.
But Trace, what do you think of Before Sunrise?
Before Sunrise, I love the movie. Ironically, it wasn't the first movie I saw. As we go back discussing the other movies, we'll see that I saw this movie last. So it was out of order, but I really, really loved it because you recommended it to me. Like, I don't know where you were at the time. Like, I don't know if it was Arizona, Seattle, or Philly. I don't know. And then I saw it on Netflix one night. Like, it was really late, and I couldn't sleep.
All
and
right.
I loved it. Loved it.
Paul, what's your take?
I remember the movie, the trailer. Long ago. So
Really?
it was interesting, yeah.
Seriously?
I did, yeah.
Paul loved the trailer.
The trailer was interesting, but I didn't want to go to the movie, so.
Why?
So we have to say that we went to see a double feature. We saw these movies.
We went to see the double feature before Sunrise and Before Sunset. and I too, I remember the trailer. I remember a few parts from the first one, but I watched Before Sunset before watching Before Sunrise, doing the double feature.
So you saw it like I did, like the latest one first, and then back to the first one.
So yeah, so then things started making more sense when I watched it.
I've already disclosed I'm very biased. I like this movie from the start. I like the visuals. I like the acting. It's very improv. To me, it feels improv-y. I don't know if it was all scripted or not. Very natural acting. It is a lot of talking. It's almost more talking. I remember one movie I saw a long time ago called Mind Walk, where it was basically a conversation while people walked around Mont Saint Michel. So that reminded me of that movie. So I could see how a lot of people just wouldn't tolerate this movie, but I'm in based on the premise, and it's not that long, and they get,
It seems long.
The double feature's not that long.
Oh.
and they have some nice little spots along the way.
Chemistry, great chemistry.
We'll talk more in the spoilers. In general, if you find this premise appealing, give it a try, and especially now that Part 3 should be released
The 24th, May 24.
We're gonna see it just in a few days.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I do think that is the weakness of it is less cinematic. I know people say that when talkies first came out, the soundtrack was kind of like 3D. It was a gimmick. It was a way to sell a movie, and they were just using sound as kind of a special effect to wow people, and it took a while for the sound to become just a normal part of the movie, so they could really incorporate it to further the story and further the purpose of the movie. So in general, when you think of something cinematic, you don't think of this, because you could get a lot of this movie just by listening to the audio recording.
Yeah.
But so again, it does drag a little at times, but I forgive it.
Yeah, but you got to give it some props, because the scenery is beautiful. I mean, it is an added bonus, but to me, it really transports you there. I mean, you to see the trains. I mean, from an American perspective, a lot of people who haven't been to Europe would love the visuals.
It's kind of interesting. They could have said it in any city.
No landmarks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the second part was 2004, while the first movie was set in Vienna. The second part is set in Paris. The setup, again, I like to spoil the opening scene. So Jesse, or Ethan Hawke, he's at a book signing at, I think it's called Shakespeare and Company, the English bookstore in Paris.
Incidentally, her favorite bookstore in Paris.
He's doing a Q&A, and toward the end of the Q&A, he sees Celine to the side.
Across the room.
We'll spoil more later. How did you feel about that one compared to the first one? Do you feel it was on the same level?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It continued.
I have my microphone here. Finally.
What do you think,
back, Paul?
What do you think?
Thanks a lot. But I just thought that, now we could, if we want to discuss both movies. Yeah, I thought that the first one dragged a little bit, because I think some of the dialogue sometimes was it didn't always make sense, or it kind of went other ways that you kind of lost attention to it. But in this movie, the second one, I think it was more concise with the theme, and that
it was better written, better edited.
And you could follow along better, because it was about their lives, what they did, and there was like some kind of what they went through in the past, in the last 9 years before, when they didn't. Last time they met.
So for the second film, we see that Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy get writing credits, and they incorporate element. Right. It seems like they've incorporated elements of their own lives in these characters. So I don't know which things are similar to their own lives and which parts of their characters are completely different. We'll talk in detail about that. Do you have any more comments before we spoil everything?
I have a bit of a question for you, Jonathan. Did you get the feeling, like, versus the first movie versus the second movie, there was more ad-libbing in the first one, and in the second follow-up sequel, like Paul was saying, it's a little bit more concise, the script,
I honestly have no idea
dialogue.
whether any of it's ad-libbed. It feels that way.
The first movie, to me, it felt like completely, like they had a lot of ad-libbing.
Improvisation.
They had a lot of room.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we're going to be at Q&A, and we'll have to ask Ethan Hawke that question.
Yeah.
If it doesn't come up, or it's probably on the internet. Let us know. If you guys know the email address, formfilmcast@gmail.com. Or just leave us a comment.
Yeah.
Any last word, Paul, before we go to spoil?
I like the movies. I thought the first one was good. Second one better. I don't know. I'm surprised that there's a third. Actually, I thought that the second one was, good enough for me. But
All right, so
no!
and he'll let you know in a moment why he's surprised.
Yeah.
Okay. So 3, 2, 1. Spoil. While we're on the topic, Paul, why do you say that? Why are you getting surprised?
I think that they came to like at the end, basically that they were still interested in each other, and that and there was that whole 9-year gap that they didn't see each other, that they were going to finally make it happen and become start going out together.
Well, they needed closure. I mean, think about
it. It was closure.
Let me do a 2-minute spoil of the basic synopsis. So in movie 1, we've got Jesse. He's basically had a long-distance relationship with his girlfriend, his college girlfriend. She's done a semester in Madrid. He saves up his cash. When summer comes, he goes to visit. She doesn't really want to hang. It doesn't seem like she wants to be with him anymore. Yeah. She's like, let's go out. And she's hanging out with 6 people and him.
She invites her on their first night.
She dumps him.
Yeah.
So he ends up doing some train riding, soul searching. Opening scene, he's on the train about to go to Vienna, where he'll catch his plane the next morning for the USA. That's where we have the German-speaking couple. And that results in Celine kind of trying to move away from the couple, and then she ends up being across the train from Jesse. From later dialogue, she suggests that she purposely landed her bag there and purposely...
She thought he was cute.
To support that, Jesse says something, opening says something like, what was that all about? Do you speak English? And after he makes, 1 or 2 comments, she jumps into the conversation right away. She's not playing the shy girl at all. He immediately invites her to go to the dining car. They have a great chat, and then they're arriving in Vienna.
They hit it off.
And he walks away, then he walks back and says, I've got a crazy idea. I have a good connection. Basically, carpe diem. If you don't hang out with me, you'll always wonder.
You'll regret the rest of your life.
Right? And if I suck, then it'll just make you feel better in the future.
Or if I'm a psycho.
When you meet your husband, you'll say, I'm so glad,
Yeah.
I'm so glad my husband's so much better than the Jesse guy. So she grabs her bags and they walk around Vienna all night. It's mostly them talking, and it's pretty. The structure of the dialogue is basically tangential. So somebody will make a comment about an opinion about something, and then somebody else will make a comment that's often just tangentially related, and so the dialogue's often not necessarily
pertaining to the topic,
furthering the story or the plot in any way. The plot is very basic.
No, it's supposed to give you an insight more about their internal character.
Yeah, so it's a kind of a snapshot into their state of mind at this point in their lives. At the end of the night, Jesse goes to a bar and tells the bartender, look, dude, I don't have money. I got one night with this girl. Can you spot me a bottle of wine, and I promise to mail you the money?
Yeah, he's like, give me your address and I'll mail you the money.
Meanwhile, Julie Delpy's putting the wine glasses in her purse, and so they go to some park. Aww. And we don't know this in the first movie, but I guess many would assume they had sex twice. That's what they disclose 9 years later. So 9 years later, it is funny to wait 9 years for a sequel this way. I was at the premiere of the second one, so it is fun how everything happens in real time. So one thing I haven't looked into is, will this third part sequel be 9 years later in time, or will it simply be the same evening? I don't want to get spoiled on that. But,
I'm not going to spoil you.
The title before midnight suggests it could be the same day, which breaks the tradition of following real time. So the critical point is they eventually have to part ways in the morning. Jesse goes to the train station. Julie Delpy's about to get on the train, they have this back and forth about what they're going to do. Should we exchange contact information? No. Everybody does that. Nothing happens. And they say, why don't we do this? We'll meet here in 6 months. Yeah. Exactly 6 months.
To the day.
Be here. We won't exchange contact information. I'll see you in 6 months.
No phone number, no addresses, which is, I think, wow, crazy.
And in the last shots, they both kind of show them smiling. They show Julie Delpy on the train. I can't remember where Ethan Hawke is. So fast forward 9 years, we've got that shot in the bookstore. Julie Delpy's noticed. Ethan Hawke says to his people, okay, man, I need a little time. I'm going to go get a coffee. He gets the phone number for his chauffeur. And then the movie is basically them walking around, talking. They do stop in a cafe.
They're taken back into their magical time, where time stops and it's just them two engaged in dialogue walking through Paris this time, right?
They take a boat ride. They end up in Julie Delpy's apartment with a classic excuse. Of course, they he's providing the excuse, but she totally is into it. He says, I really want you to sing me one of your songs. That's why we need to go to your apartment.
But it's complicated.
She obliges, and then when she sings the song, it's basically a song
about him,
about wanting him,
and about their last night, and what happened.
One of the biggest things that I left out was that the novel Jesse has written was based on their experience portrayed in the first movie. The Julie Delpy character is a little neurotic. She definitely got,
she's crazy.
I think, less attractive to me. A couple scenes that really made her less.
Oh no!
Number one, she pretends that they never had sex, and then another scene, and then she changes her mind later and confesses that she remembers they had sex twice.
Oh.
I don't know what that's about. And then there's this one scene where she starts talking about how depressed and unhappy she is with her life, and it's all because of him, and she has to get out of the car right now. And yeah, too much.
They're talking about their lives. They're talking about what they've done, what they want, what they think about the world or the universe, and they talk about life after death, or if they believe, or anything like that. And that's the thing that's most interesting to me than anything. It's their views of the world, and especially in the second one. The first one, it's more like they talk a little bit about that, but like you said, there's kind of sometimes they make these remarks that are totally like have nothing to do with.
So I wonder, but because they got a writing credit in the second one, they did not get a writing credit in the first one. I wonder if that indicates that they were less involved or had zero creative input on the first one. So we'll have to ask that.
I do think they worked on it, refining their characters,
and they did, and the dialogue.
So there are a few things that I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, dear listener. Ethan Hawke has written in real life, and he's a writer in the movie. Ethan Hawke, at the time of the second film, was at some point in the breakup with Uma Thurman, I believe.
Right, and they do have a son. At that point, they had a son.
And he has a son. So
right.
He still has a son.
It's kind of like parallel. It's a parallel life,
maybe
yeah.
Like a 5-year-old son.
Julie Delpy sings, at least some in real life, I believe.
Yes, she does. She composes.
She sings in this.
Yeah.
They kind of changed viewpoints in their. He's the more cynical one.
In the first movie, he's the one that's cynical, and she's the one that's like idealistic.
She's a little bit more faith. She believes more in the
romance,
or
there's something out there to capture and something to believe in. And
they're one of those. They have a palm reading scene.
Not only that, but I think she does believe that there's some kind of destiny for her in being a strong woman and making a difference out there. In the second movie, it seems like
the roles are reversed.
Kind of reversed. Like she is doing it, but she's
not happy
empty inside, and she doesn't believe in anything. She's completely jaded now, and it seems like it was like all because of that one night, maybe that they didn't meet up after the 6 months.
Well, it wasn't they didn't meet just because they didn't meet. There was a good reason they didn't meet. I
know, but still,
you've brought up a good point. I forgot one of the key things that they bring up is, did you go back? And we find out that Ethan Hawke did go back, and that he went to the train station and put up signs, and he's looking for her.
Pretty pathetic, but
he flew across the ocean to meet with her, and she. Meanwhile,
That's not pathetic. That's romantic.
In the first film, she's coming from her grandmother's in Budapest
funeral
to Vienna. In the second one, she tells us that at the time they were supposed to meet 6 months later, she was at her grandmother's
funeral the day of their fateful date. That's why she didn't show up.
And it's interesting because in the beginning, he lies about it and says, "Oh,
I didn't make it either."
No, I didn't.
It's all the pretenses of a relationship that wasn't going to work out the way that they had planned it. So neither of them wanted to look like a loser.
All right, and a couple more little. I'll just share these details because we looked them up. In the first one, we find Jesse and Celine are both book in hand. Paul, you looked up a little. What was Julie Delpy reading?
Well, I think,
do you remember?
The name of it is by Georges Bataille. It's Madame Edouard and
Edouard.
Eduarda, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
French translation.
And Le Mort, l'histoire de Mort, or something like that.
There was Le Mort. Oh yeah, there was another thing. Histoire de l'œil. I guess that's the story of the eye or something like that.
That is, yeah. These three books, especially the story of the eye, is something that it's one of his most important works, and it's he goes into the eroticism, and he believes in that people should fulfill their base material needs like sex. There shouldn't be there shouldn't be any kind of pretense to sex. People should
Be free.
go into it without this kind of
Be free with your love.
and stuff like that.
How about Ethan Hawke's book?
And Ethan Hawke's book is the
All I Need Is Love.
All I Need Is Love.
All you
and
need is love.
his autobiography, which
All I Need Is Love.
I know, but I'm going by the song.
All I Need Is Love.
It's All I Need Is Love by Kinski.
Apparently, some people have said it's fictitious because he's made remarks about people he knew that they say that's not completely true. But
I thought I saw something that this was also sexual in nature. Did you see anything about that?
Well, he's like a big chauvinist. I mean, he thought that every woman wanted him, and and if he didn't have sex with them, then he called them
Lesbian?
a lesbian or something like that.
Oh, what a sexist
So
pig.
he was a big sexist, right?
Sexist bastard.
So he was reading. So Ethan Hawke was reading the guy or the sexist, and she was reading something about, fulfilling your needs and
Sexually and being free with your love.
and being free with it.
Woo!
That I remember reading somewhere was that the second film was shot to be like real time. It's an 80-minute movie, pretty short.
88, yeah.
Pretty short, and I'm kind of thankful it's not 40 minutes longer. If that were a full 2-hour movie, I think it would be too much.
It would be too much.
It was a double
just
feature.
right.
It was a double feature, and that was a lot in itself.
And I didn't complete my thought about how the first one, Ethan Hawke was cynical. I thought she became more cynical, and he became more. He started believing in faith. He went to some
Buddhist
temple.
Right.
I forgot the particular sect.
Yeah.
But that he's beginning to believe in something else out there in the world, and I think maybe because writing that book, he wanted to find her.
It healed him. It was a cathartic for him. He had to write this.
I'm looking forward to. I have heard positive things about this movie. That's about it. Just vaguely positive things. It did show at Sundance. I have not watched the trailer. I don't think. I don't really want to watch the trailer.
I saw the trailer. I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Oh yeah, we're not going to spoil it for you. Sorry. You can watch the trailer. YouTube.com.
But again, I thought that. Like I thought the movie. I thought it was great. The second one, and I thought that was it. End of story. But now,
all right.
No.
We look forward to chatting.
I don't know anymore.
We look forward to chatting part 3. Paul, where can we reach you? Ba-boom.
I don't know still.
All right.
Oh, God.
Foreignfilmcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, look up Jonathan and Trace for me.
Trace 700 AOL.
The website is foreignfilmcast.com, and you can find YouTube link, which is probably the most useful link.
We appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for the hundreds of comments. All right, peace out.
Yeah.